Forced to marry a millionaire cowboy at 19, but his wedding gift left the whole town silent. Eliza Hart was only 19, but life had already made her feel much older. She lived in a small town called Dustfall Ridge, where the wind was strong, the land was dry, and people worked hard just to survive. Her family owned a small ranch, but it had not been doing well for years. The crops failed again and again, and the animals were getting weaker. Every season brought more problems. Her father, Thomas Hart, tried his best, but the debts kept growing. Each week a new letter came, reminders, warnings, and finally threats. The bank wanted their money, and they wanted it soon. If they failed to pay, the ranch would be taken away. The ranch was not just land, it was their home. One evening, Eliza stood near the wooden fence watching the sunset. The sky was orange and red, but she could not enjoy it. Her mind was full of worry. Behind her, she heard her father's voice. "Eliza, someone's here." She turned and saw a man standing near their house. He was tall, wearing a dark coat, and his posture was straight. Even from far away, he looked different from the men in town. There was something calm, but also serious about him. "That's Henry Caldwell," her father said quietly. Eliza had heard that name before. Everyone had. Henry Caldwell was the richest man in the area. He owned the biggest ranch, had many workers, and never seemed to struggle. But people did not talk about him with warmth. They spoke carefully, sometimes in whispers. "He doesn't come here without a reason," Eliza said. Her father nodded. "I know." They walked toward the house together. Henry was waiting by the porch. His expression was neutral, his eyes sharp but not unkind. He looked at Eliza for a moment, then turned to her father. "Mr. Hart," he said calmly. "Mr. Caldwell," her father replied. There was a short silence before Henry spoke again. "I believe we should talk inside." Eliza felt something strange in her chest, a quiet fear. Inside the house, the air felt heavy. Eliza sat quietly while the two men stood near the table. Henry placed a few papers down. "I know about your debts," he said directly. Her father looked down. "Then you know I'm trying to fix it." "You won't be able to," Henry replied. His voice was not harsh, just honest. Eliza tightened her hands together. "Then why are you here?" she asked. Henry looked at her again. This time his gaze stayed longer. "I have an offer," he said. Her father looked up quickly. "What kind of offer?" Henry paused for a moment, as if choosing his words carefully. "I will pay all your debts, every single one. The ranch will stay yours." Eliza's heart skipped. It sounded too good to be true. "There must be a condition," her father said slowly. Henry nodded once. "There is." The room became very quiet. "I want to marry Eliza." The words felt like they froze the air. Eliza blinked, unsure if she had heard correctly. "Marry me?" she repeated. Henry did not look away. "Yes." Her father stepped back in shock. This is sudden." "It is," Henry agreed. "But the situation is also urgent." Eliza stood up. "Why me?" Henry took a breath. "I am not looking for romance," he said. "I am offering a solution. You and your family need help. I can provide that." "That's not an answer," she said, her voice shaking slightly. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Because I believe I can give you a better life than the one you are about to lose." Eliza felt anger rise inside her. "This is not a business deal," she said. "This is my life." "I know," Henry replied. "But it sounds like one," she said. Her father looked between them, torn. "Eliza," he said softly, "we don't have many choices." She turned to him, her eyes wide. "So this is it?" she asked. "We just agree?" "I don't want to lose everything," he said, his voice breaking slightly. Eliza's heart hurt. She looked back at Henry. He was not forcing them, but his offer felt like a wall closing in. "What happens if I say no?" she asked. Henry answered honestly. "Then I walk away, and the bank will not wait much longer." Silence filled the room again. Eliza felt trapped between two impossible paths. One led to losing her home. The other led to a life she did not choose. She closed her eyes for a moment. Then she opened them again. "When?" she asked quietly. Henry's expression changed just slightly. "As soon as possible," he said. Eliza nodded slowly. "I'll do it." Her father looked both relieved and sad. Henry gave a small nod, respectful but distant. "Then we will prepare," he said. As he left the house, Eliza stood still. Her future had changed in just a few minutes. And deep inside, she could not shake one thought. She had just agreed to marry a man she did not truly know, and she had no idea what kind of life was waiting for her. The wedding happened faster than Eliza expected. Within a few days, everything was ready. There were no big decorations, no music, and no celebration. People from the town came, but not to cheer. They came to watch. Some felt sorry for her, some were curious. Others whispered behind her back. Eliza stood quietly in a simple white dress. Her hands felt cold, even under the warm sun. She could feel everyone looking at her, but she kept her eyes forward. Henry stood beside her, calm and still. He looked the same as always, serious, quiet, and unreadable. The ceremony was short, a few words, a few signatures, and just like that, she became Eliza Caldwell. But nothing inside her felt different. When it was over, people slowly left. There was no laughter, no music, no happiness in the air. Only silence. That same day, Henry took her to his ranch. The ride was long and quiet. The sound of horses' hooves was the only thing she could hear. Eliza looked around as they moved farther from her old home. She didn't cry, but her chest felt heavy. After some time, they reached the Caldwell Ranch. It was bigger than anything she had seen before. Wide land, strong fences, many workers moving around. Everything looked organized and clean. It showed power and control, but it did not feel warm. Henry helped her down from the horse. "This is your home now," he said. Eliza nodded, but she did not speak. Inside, the house was large but simple. There were not many decorations. The rooms were neat, almost too neat, like no one truly lived there. Henry showed her around. "This is the kitchen. The workers eat here sometimes," he said. "This is the main room. This will be your room." Eliza noticed something. "You said your room," she said. Henry paused for a second. "Yes," he replied. "You will be more comfortable there." She understood what he meant. They would not share a room. It made her feel strange, but also a little relieved. As the tour ended, Henry stopped near the door. "There are a few things you should know," he said. Eliza looked at him. "You are free to go anywhere on this ranch," he continued. "You can ride, walk, talk to the workers. No one will stop you." "That sounds fair," she said. "But," he added, "there is one place you must not go." Eliza frowned. "Where?" "The South Barn." She blinked. "Why?" "It's not safe," he said quickly. His answer came too fast. Eliza noticed. "What's inside?" she asked. Henry looked away for a moment. "Just stay away from it," he said. That was all. The next few days felt slow and quiet. Eliza tried to understand her new life. She woke up early, like she always did. She helped in small tasks, spoke to a few workers, and walked around the land. People treated her with respect, but also distance. Because she was not just Eliza anymore. She was the wife of Henry Caldwell. Henry himself was rarely around. He left before sunrise and returned after sunset. When he spoke, he was polite, but always distant. He never asked too many questions, and he never shared much about himself. It felt like living with a stranger. But sometimes, Eliza noticed small things. One morning, she saw him fixing a broken fence by himself, even though workers were nearby. Another time, she heard that her father's debts had been fully paid, quietly, without telling anyone. That surprised her. Maybe he was not as cold as people said. Still, one question stayed in her mind. The South Barn. Every time she walked near that side of the land, she felt curious. The barn stood alone, a little far from the others. No workers went near it. It was always closed. One evening, as the sun was going down, Eliza walked in that direction again. The sky was turning orange. The wind was soft. She stopped a few steps away from the barn. Her heart started beating faster. Henry's words echoed in her mind. "Stay away from it." But why? What was so dangerous? She looked around. No one was there. Slowly, she walked closer. Her hand reached for the wooden door. She hesitated. For a moment, she thought about turning back, but her curiosity was stronger. She pushed the door open. It made a soft creaking sound. Inside, it was quiet, too quiet. Eliza stepped in slowly. Her eyes adjusted to the dim light, and then she saw it. Her breath stopped. This was not what she expected at all. There were no tools, no animals, no danger. Instead, the barn was filled with something completely different. Things that looked old, personal, and deeply important. Eliza took another step forward, her heart full of questions. Because whatever this place was, it was not something simple. And now, she knew. Henry was hiding something much bigger than she imagined. Eliza stood still inside the South Barn, her heart beating fast. The place was quiet, but not empty. Soft light came through the small windows, and it fell on objects that did not belong in a barn. There were no tools, no animals, no dust-covered boxes. Instead, everything looked clean and carefully placed. Eliza slowly walked forward. On one side, she saw small wooden toys, horses, wagons, and tiny animals. They were not new. They looked old, but they were not broken. Each one was placed gently on shelves, like they mattered. She reached out and touched one. It was smooth, handmade. Someone had spent time on it. On another wall, there were drawings, simple drawings like a child would make. Stick figures, smiling faces, a house, and a sun in the sky. Some had names written in small, uneven letters. Eliza felt a strange feeling in her chest. This place was not dangerous. It was personal. In the center of the barn, she saw something that made her stop. A small wooden cradle. Old, but strong. It was placed carefully, as if someone still cared for it. Eliza slowly walked toward it. Her hands felt cold. "Who told you to come here?" The voice came from behind her. Eliza turned quickly. Henry stood at the door. His face was different. For the first time, she did not see calm or distance. She saw fear. I didn't know," Eliza said softly. "I was just curious." Henry did not move. His eyes looked around the barn, then back at her. "You should not be here," he said. But his voice was not angry. It was heavy. Eliza looked at the cradle again. "This place, what is it?" she asked. Henry was silent for a moment. Then he stepped inside. The door stayed open behind him, but the air inside felt closed. He walked slowly, like each step was hard. Finally, he stopped near the cradle. "She was my daughter," he said quietly. Eliza's breath stopped. "Your daughter?" she repeated. Henry nodded. His eyes stayed on the cradle. "She was small," he continued. "Very small. She didn't live long." Eliza felt her chest tighten. "And her mother?" she asked gently. Henry's jaw tightened slightly. "She didn't survive either," he said. The words were simple, but the pain behind them was clear. Silence filled the barn again. Eliza looked around. The toys, the drawings, the cradle. Everything made sense now. "This is all theirs?" she asked. Henry nodded. "I kept everything," he said. "I didn't want to forget." Eliza felt something change inside her. She had thought Henry was cold, distant, but now she saw something else. He was not empty. He was holding pain. "You come here often?" she asked. "Yes," he said, "when I can." His voice was calm again, but softer now. Eliza looked at him carefully. "Is that why you told me not to come here?" she asked. Henry finally looked at her. "Yes," he said. "This place, it is not for others." Eliza nodded slowly. "I understand," she said. She turned to leave, but before she could walk away, Henry spoke again. "Wait." She stopped. "There's more," he said. Eliza looked back at him. "What do you mean?" Henry took a deep breath. "I didn't marry you for the reasons people think," he said. Eliza frowned slightly. "Then why?" she asked. Henry looked down for a moment, then back at her. "Your father needed help," he said. "And I could give it." "That's not all," Eliza said quietly. She could feel it. There was more. Henry stayed silent for a few seconds. Then he said, "After I lost my family, this house became too quiet." Eliza listened carefully. "I thought maybe—" He stopped for a moment, then continued. "Maybe helping someone else would give this place some meaning again." Eliza did not speak. She understood now. He did not marry her for love. But he also did not marry her for power. He married her because he was alone. "I was going to give you a choice," Henry said. Eliza blinked. "A choice?" "Yes," he said, "after the wedding." "What kind of choice?" she asked. Henry looked at her directly. "To stay or to leave?" Eliza felt surprised. "You would let me leave?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "I never wanted to trap you." The words stayed in her mind. All this time, she thought she had no control. But maybe she was wrong. "Why didn't you tell me before?" she asked. "You would have said no," he replied honestly. Eliza could not argue with that. He was right. She looked around the barn one more time, then back at Henry. "You're not what people say," she said softly. Henry gave a small, tired smile. "People don't always see the truth," he said. Eliza nodded. Then she walked toward the door. But this time, her steps felt different. Lighter, because now she knew something important. This marriage was not a prison, and Henry Caldwell was not the man she thought he was, but one question still remained in her heart. If she had a choice to leave, would she actually take it, or was there something here, worth staying for? A few days passed after Eliza discovered the truth about the South Barn. Nothing looked different on the outside. The ranch still worked the same way. The workers followed their routine. The sun rose and set like always. But inside Eliza, something had changed. She no longer saw Henry as a stranger. She saw a man who carried pain quietly, and somehow, she understood him more. One morning, Henry came to her earlier than usual. "Eliza," he said, standing near the door, "I need you to come with me today." She looked up from the table. "Where are we going?" "To town," he replied. Eliza felt surprised. "Why?" "You'll see," he said. His tone was calm, but serious. She nodded. "All right." They rode together to Dustfall Ridge. The road felt familiar, but also different now. This was her old town, but she was not the same girl anymore. When they arrived, Eliza noticed something unusual. Many people were gathered near the center. They were waiting. And when they saw Henry and Eliza, the whispers began. "What's happening? Why is he here?" Eliza looked at Henry. "Did you call them?" "Yes," he said simply. Her heart started to beat faster. Something important was about to happen. They walked to the front of the crowd. People moved aside, giving them space. Some looked curious, others nervous. Henry turned to face everyone. His posture was strong, his expression serious. "I asked you all to come here for a reason," he said. The crowd became quiet. Eliza stood beside him, unsure of what he would say. "Most of you know about my marriage," Henry continued, "and most of you have your own thoughts about it." Some people looked down, some stayed still. Henry did not react. "But what you don't know," he said, "is that this was never meant to be a permanent arrangement." Eliza felt her breath catch. She looked at him. He reached into his coat and pulled out a folded paper. Then he handed it to her. "Read it," he said. Eliza took the paper slowly. Her hands felt slightly shaky. She opened it. As her eyes moved across the words, her expression changed. "This is," she whispered. Henry spoke clearly so everyone could hear. "It is the official document," he said, "that shows the Hart Ranch is now fully paid and belongs to Eliza." A wave of surprise moved through the crowd. People started whispering again. "But it was already saved," someone said. "Yes," Henry replied, "but now it is hers, completely, no debt, no conditions." Eliza looked up at him. "You didn't tell me this," she said softly. "I wanted to do it properly," he answered. Then Henry reached into his coat again. He took out another paper. This one looked different, more formal, more final. He held it out to her. "And this," he said, "is your choice." Eliza took it. She opened it slowly. Her eyes widened. "It's an annulment," she said. The crowd went silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Henry nodded. "It is already signed," he said. "If you want to leave, you can. You will be free. Your land will stay yours." Eliza felt her heart racing. She looked at the paper again, then at him. "You're letting me go?" she asked. "Yes," he said calmly. "I promised you a choice." Eliza felt many emotions at once, confusion, surprise, and something deeper she could not name. "You don't have to stay," Henry added. "You never did." The town watched closely. Everyone was waiting to see what she would do. Eliza looked around. She saw familiar faces, people who knew her since childhood, people who thought they understood her story. Then she looked back at Henry, the man who had saved her family, the man who had given her freedom, the man who expected nothing in return. She looked down at the annulment paper again. Her fingers held it tightly. For a moment, everything felt quiet, like the world had stopped. Then slowly, she folded the paper, carefully, gently, and she held it out to Henry. "I don't want this," she said. A soft sound moved through the crowd. Henry looked at her, surprised. "You don't?" he asked. Eliza shook her head. "I'm not staying because I have to," she said clearly. "I'm staying because I choose to." The words were simple, but they were strong. Henry did not speak for a moment. Something changed in his eyes. Not sadness, not distance. Something warmer, something real. "Are you sure?" he asked quietly. "Yes," Eliza said. She took a small step closer. "I know what this marriage started as," she continued, "but it doesn't have to stay that way." The crowd was completely silent now. No whispers. No judgment. Just shock. Because no one expected this. Henry slowly took the annulment paper back, but he did not look at it. He looked at Eliza. For the first time, "This feels different," he said. Eliza gave a small smile. "It is," she replied. The wind moved gently through the town, and in that quiet moment, something new began. Not a deal, not a sacrifice, but a real choice, a real beginning. And this time, it belonged to both of them.